Graph theory has many possibilities to use in real life, not only in mathematics. In graph theory, nodes symbolize events in our lives, and what connects them is called edges. A year later, an unexpected pandemic occurred in our country, where all the things and events in our lives are affected, as well as attending schools. The class was suspended for several months due to the pandemic. But this will not be a reason to lose the desire to study. There were ways to bring back the class which had different kinds of learnings. There is synchronous learning, SL, asynchronous online learning, AOL, and remote printed learning, RPL. In this study, we looked into the consumption of prepaid connection of students who used mobile data in AOL. We thought of this research to find out how much data they can use in online classes or other school activities. Asynchronous learning allows you to learn at your own pace and in a set amount of time. Every 1 or 2 week period, instructors upload new lectures, readings, assignments, and other learning materials. The students answer assigned tasks offline, then clarifies questions in online lecture periods. The graph of data consumption of an AOL student. We assigned weights on the edges of the graph, making it a weighted graph. It is used to determine the cost, value or measurement used to traverse one vertex to another. A minimum spanning tree is simply a subset of the graph that provides information about the minimum possible value that you can get in the graph. And then Kruskal's algorithm is used to find the minimum spanning tree in a graph. It is used when a graph has weight and connected. But do not use edges that will make the graph a cycle. It can also minimize a forest of trees until there's only one tree remaining. Lastly, attributes of the vertices and edges. For the vertices of the graph, these were the activities that a student needed to do in order to pass half of the semester, like quizzes, assignment and many more activities. While the edges of the graph are the data consumed by the student per activity. The activities that are done offline has zero data consumption. There are various outcomes that AOL students are required to pass a certain subject course. In doing so, there are prerequisites to do before accomplishing these outcomes. These prerequisites are placed to establish the connection of the vertices. The following ordains will be the guide for the graph. First, downloading and reading lesson are required and doing assignments given every week. Attending online class for online class lectures are required every 2 weeks. Next, quizzes are given every 2 lessons and requires reviewing of lessons. Quizzes are administered through Google Forms only. Then, a term examination is given for the half of the semester. Term examination requires reviewing of the quizzes taken. A term examination is administered through Google Form with an open camera Google Meet session. Finally, project requires knowledge about lessons and additional researching. Project is given individually for the whole semester. Every lesson is limited to a 30-page PDF or Word document, consuming around 1.2 MB of data. Answering is done offline, thus, it does not consume any data. For turning in assignments, it consumes 5 MB of data. The duration of each online class is limited to 2 hours per subject, resulting in a data consumption of around 5 GB. While answering assignments is done offline and consumes 0 MB of data. Reviewing for a quiz is done offline, so no data is used. For taking a quiz, it consumes 500 MB of data. Reviewing for the term exam is also done offline and does not consume any data. For taking a term exam, it consumes 5 GB of data. Planning for the project includes reading of the already downloaded lessons. The total length of the YouTube videos included in the project's research will be limited to 8 hours with 480p quality, consuming 1.2 GB of data. The total duration of searching or browsing through Google is limited to 20 hours, consuming 2.4 GB. For turning in a project, it consumes 30 MB of data. The assigned values of the weights are approximated consumption of data per application or website used. The output vertices such as the assignments, quizzes, project and term examination indicates that the student has accomplished the corresponding prerequisites in order to obtain scores. Steps in constructing minimum spanning tree with the use of Kruskal's algorithm. Number 1. Draw all the vertices. Number 2. List edge weights in ascending order. Number 3. Connect the vertices with the lowest edge weight. Number 4. Do not use edges that will make the graph a cycle. Number 5. Repeat steps 2 to 4 until all vertices are connected and a single tree has been made. The graph shows the minimum spanning tree of the data consumption of an AOL student through Kruskal's algorithm. The exclusion of the edges between reading lesson 1 to 7 and planning for the project halted the graph to create a cycle. It does not invalidate the importance of reading but it demonstrates a more efficient way of completing the outputs. For online class lectures, an asynchronous online learning student would need around 40 GB of data, 80 MB for 8 assignments, 4 GB for quizzes, and 10 GB for term examinations, while 3.6 GB for a project. This would be around 58 GB for a single subject's worth of work. An AOL student will need an average of 580 GB of data to finish a 10-subject semester. The sum of the data consumption was unchanged, however, the minimum spanning tree somehow suggests an approach wherein the deleted edges could be skipped since they were already read and comprehended. It decreases the number of activities the student must do in order to fulfill the subject's requirements, hence, lessens the difficulty of achieving so. In general, the constructed minimum spanning tree graph shows that only a minimal number of edges were excluded in order to connect all of the vertices. It illustrates that most of the edges are vital to complete or pass the subject course. That is it for the Team MYIP exposition on graph theory. Thank you.